Here today for this very, very special gathering to highlight how necessary it is that in a digital era that everyone has access to that digital technology. So this is such a beautiful library. It's just incredible. It's a tribute to preceding generations, the incredible investment that they made in libraries and in education. I especially want to thank Mayor Jared Nicholson for his leadership, and I want to thank Virginia Benzon, who is here. I hired Virginia 27 years ago to be on my congressional staff, and what was the key criteria? The key criteria was my mother had been the president of the senior class at Girls Catholic High School in Malden, and Virginia was the president of the senior class at Girls Catholic High School in Malden when she graduated in 1993 from Girls Catholic High School. So, and now she has arisen to this incredible position. I also want to recognize Natasha Mezzi Madri. Thank you for being here, Counselor. Brian LaPierre from the teachers. Drew Russo, Democratic State Committeeman, wherever Drew is. Thank you, Drew, for coming here today. So, and Caitlin Schubert, who is going to be talking about Tech Goes Home. So we've just got an all-star cast here, as well as all of the advocates who are joining us today. So we're here in Lynn because this city has undertaken some fantastic work to connect all of its residents to broadband. They invested early to lay the groundwork for digital equity because Lynn knows how vital Internet access is to our society. The Internet is increasingly the location of job applications, doctor's appointments, government services, communications with our loved ones. You name it, it probably has an online presence as well. And that is why we must treat Internet access like a public good and ensure that everyone is connected online. The unfortunate reality is that not everyone has access to affordable, reliable broadband services. The digital divide between those who can afford Internet and those who cannot imposes serious harm on our unconnected friends and families and neighbors. And the good news is that through the historic investments of the Biden administration and the actions of Democrats in Congress, we created a $14.2 billion program in the bipartisan infrastructure law to provide monthly discounts on Internet bills all across the country. Thanks to this affordable connectivity program, more than 23 million households, including 336,000 households here in Massachusetts, have been able to gain access to the Internet, have been able to pay their bills, have been able to receive $30 a month towards their Internet bill. And of that 23 million people and 336,000 here in Massachusetts, more than 5 million have never been connected to the Internet before. Millions of others previously had intermittent or slow service, but now have access to consistent, high-speed broadband thanks to this program. The Affordable Connectivity Program is delivering for Massachusetts families and the American people. And that's why I say that ACP also stands for accessing countless possibilities for every family and for everyone who lives in those families here in Lynn and all across our country. This was a vision that we had years ago when I created the E-rate program and the emergency connectivity program. When we were passing the legislation, just as Virginia was working for me, that moved America from narrowband to broadband, from analog to digital. Not one home in America had broadband in 1996. Not one home had broadband. So we had to make the move into this digital age from analog. So what I did was I built into the 1996 Telecommunications Act a program that said to libraries and to schools that there would be a funding flow of $4 or $5 billion a year that connected the schools and connected the libraries to the internet. Because when I was a boy, my father drove a truck for the Hood Milk Company, and I knew who the school superintendent's son was, but I felt that I could compete with him because I could take my books home and study just as hard as him. Or I could go to the library and I could study there and compete. Now, he did go to Yale, and I went to Boston College as a commuter, but nonetheless, that was how it was. But as you move to a digital age, it's no longer just your books on your back that you take home. And the library has to have access to the internet as well. So that's the program that I was able to create for libraries and for schools. And so far, Massachusetts has received, including Lynn Public Library, upwards of $1 billion from that program to wire the library, to wire the schools in Lynn. And they get a check every single year for all the schools in Lynn in order to keep them connected. So I always say that a vision without funding is an hallucination. You have to invest in the same way that there was an investment made in constructing this beautiful building and the schools. We have to invest in the digital connectivity as well. So that's the good news. The bad news is that the funding for the Affordable Connectivity Program, the $30 a month, is slated to run out in April. Just 2 weeks ago, the Federal Communications Commission shut down new enrollments in the program. Providers have sent notices to enrollees that the program will soon come to an end. In other words, without additional funding from Congress, our grand vision to close the digital divide risks turning back into an hallucination. It is hard to overstate the consequences for the end of this program. Students will lose access to the internet. Families will lose access to online jobs boards. Seniors will lose access to telehealth services. Businesses will lose access to capable job applicants. The list goes on and on. The end of the Affordable Connectivity Program is a lose-lose-lose proposition. A loss for families, a loss for our economy, and a loss for our democracy. And that's why we have to act. Lawmakers in both the Senate and the House have introduced a bipartisan bill, the Affordable Connectivity Program Extension Act, to fund the program for the remainder of the year. And I'm fighting to get that legislation passed because this is critical in a modern era to have access to the internet, to have access to these digital technologies. And I'm urging all of my colleagues to pass this legislation and to pass it now. We have only one problem right now. Most Republicans are refusing to extend it. So I have a message for my Republican colleagues. Broadband access crosses state lines, political party, and household budget, and we should ensure that we provide a bipartisan support for that program. And to the internet service providers who have benefited from the Affordable Connectivity Program, I know that Comcast is here today. I continue to urge all of them to take every step necessary to make the transition as easy as possible for subscribers. This is a difficult moment. Don't make it even harder through misleading disclosures and poor customer service. And as we fight for this funding, I'm proud to be arm in arm with these incredible coalition partners from across the Commonwealth today. From the Essex County Community Foundation to the Digital Equity Alliance of Western Mass to the City of Boston and Cape Cod Tech Council. This is a statewide movement to save the Affordable Connectivity Program for the 366,000 Massachusetts households and 23 million households nationwide who now depend on this program. We all know that internet affordability is a huge problem. The Affordable Connectivity Program is the key tool in our tool belt to address affordability concerns and close the digital divide. Now is not the time to be discarding that tool. Now is the time to be holding open the doors to our digital world to everyone. Now is the time to extend funding for the Affordable Connectivity Program. So I want to thank everyone for being here today for this critically important press conference. We have to make sure that we do everything that we can to extend it. And Lynn is a perfect example of a community which is committed to that extension. And we're just so fortunate to have the great mayor of the city of Lynn, Jared Nicholson, who is joining us today. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much, Senator. Thank you so much for your leadership and advocacy on this issue for such a long time, and also for coming to Lynn to help highlight the work and the need here. Thank you to the Lynn Public Library for hosting us. I'd like to recognize the Chair of the Board of Trustees, Andrea Williams, and Board Member Tyrone Brown, who are here, at the library staff. Thank you all so much for getting us ready and for being here. And to all the partners in this work, thank you for what you are doing. Our residents need to be online. They need it to go to school and do their schoolwork. They need it to access healthcare and the way that healthcare is going. They need it to find jobs. Some of them need it to do their jobs with remote work. And this is not a technical problem. No one is wondering, well, how do we get fast internet to all households in the city of Lynn? It's there. It's not a technical question. It's a moral question. Will we let financial barriers block residents from accessing the world? That's the moral question that's before the United States right now. And the answer so far has been no. We have the ACP that's going to allow folks to overcome that barrier so they can enter that world. And Lynn is proud to take advantage of it. 7,300 households in the city of Lynn are participating in the ACP. That's 40% of the eligible households, which, by the way, is significantly higher than the statewide rate of 28% and the national rate of 37%. Almost half eligible households are enrolling. And that's the result of the ambition of our residents who want to be plugged in, and some great community partnerships we have that are represented with a lot of folks in this room. Just in the last year, less than the last year, since April 1st, 2023, 1,400 families have signed up. They took that plunge and said, yes, I do need to be connected. Yes, I won't let the financial cost block me from accessing this critical way of interacting with the world. And that's at risk of disappearing. I'm so grateful for the Senator's leadership and for all of you rallying together to send this message that those 7,300 households represent our students who are trying to get their homework done. They represent our residents who need to be able to log in to go to their healthcare appointments and finish their job applications. It's real people with real life challenges that don't deserve to be cut off from the world. And so we are joining Senator Markey in his call to extend this program. Thank you so much.
And now we're going to hear from Caitlin Schubert. Welcome.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. My name is Caitlin Schubert. I am the ACP manager for Tech Goes Home. We are a nonprofit For the last 20 years, we've been committed to closing the digital divide. Our approach is centered around community and standing up the three legs of the digital equity stool, as we like to call it. And we do this by providing devices such as Chromebooks and tablets, 15 hours of culturally responsive digital skills courses, and affordable internet access to all of our learners. And we're here today fighting to preserve the last leg of the stool and the advancement we've collectively made through the ACP to close the digital divide. While our program doesn't solely rely on ACP, many of our learners from Boston to the North Shore to Central and Western Massachusetts do. To them, the internet is not a luxury, but it's an essential utility. The ACP has allowed households across the state to experience the internet without forcing them to choose between putting food on the table or paying their internet bill. It's a 10-year-old girl who can now complete her online homework assignment from the comfort of her home, a senior who can search for affordable prescriptions online and connect with a doctor via telehealth, and a family who can connect and navigate via Zoom with distant loved ones. The ACP has helped put the internet within reach, helping our learners better connect with their communities, economic opportunities, and so much more. Allowing this critical internet affordability tool to lapse has the potential to eliminate all of the progress that has been made, limiting all the possibilities and creating devastating consequences for folks across Massachusetts. Let's not forget that already stark digital divide created by COVID-19, and which risks widening further with the loss of the ACP. At Tech Goes Home, we know this well, and it disproportionately impacts low-income households and communities of color who will likely experience limited access to education, healthcare, and economic opportunities. It'll also impact ability to participate in online job searches, education, which will also impact economic mobility, further social isolation for our seniors who rely on ACP to stay connected. And not only this, but reducing access to affordable internet could discourage telehealth adoption and return many in-person care with the associated cost and additional health risks. We cannot let this happen and go back to the imbalance that allow the digital divide to grow wider. We must find a long-term sustainable funding for the ACP. Today is a remarkable show of force that we are Tech Goes Home hope will echo all the way to Washington. I want to thank Senator Markey for shining a light on this urgent issue, and to him and his colleagues in the Massachusetts delegation for their unwavering support in ACP. It has made a huge impact with so many learners that we've worked with and households across the state and really across the United States, and to lose this would be a really shame. So just thank you, everybody.
And now we're going to hear from Virginia Benzon. Welcome, Virginia.
Thank you. And my name is Virginia Benzon, and I'm the Director of Racial Justice Advocacy at the Massachusetts Law Reform Institute. So first, I wanted to say thank you to Senator Markey for including me in today's event. It's a real full circle moment to me. As Markey had said, my time working with constituents in his congressional office over 25 years ago motivated me to go to law school and to become a lawyer and become an advocate for low-income people. I'm so thankful for his belief in me and his encouragement of me so many years ago, and I'm extremely honored to be on this stage with him today. So thank you. And I also wanted to thank Lynn leadership. So when I first sent out an inquiry to their superintendent to say, can you send out a text message about ACP, the former superintendent Tutwiler sent out a text message to every Lynn public school student about ACP within moments. So with that kind of leadership, that's why we were able to see some adoption quickly in Lynn. So happy Black History Month. As it is Black History Month, I would be remiss if I didn't mention that the late, great civil rights leader, Congressman John Lewis, described access to the internet as a civil rights issue of the 21st century. Congressman Lewis, as many of us today, recognize that without access to the transformational power of the internet, people, especially Black people and people of color, will be left out of opportunities and left behind progress. The digital divide, the quintessential story of the haves and have-nots, is the intended and foreseeable product of unjust and discriminatory practices and policies that build and sustain inequities and racial disparities, that exclude, ignore, overlook, and oppress low-income neighborhoods, communities of color, and other marginalized communities, communities where we are often paying more for less. Yet the conversation about the digital divide is often limited to discussions about infrastructure and the comparisons between urban and rural deployment. The enrollment of over 366,000 households in Massachusetts in the Affordable Connectivity Program, a state that has less than 2% of locations without high-speed internet infrastructure, forces us to focus on affordability. High-cost internet subscriptions was identified as the biggest barrier to having broadband at home by mass residents. We need more than every resident to have high-speed, high-quality internet available. We need high-speed, high-quality internet that is available and affordable to everyone. We have to explicitly define availability to include affordability. With ISPs enjoying billions of dollars in profits every year, affordability for everyone is possible, especially with public and private partnerships. The federal government created ACP to directly address affordability. The program has successfully connected millions of households across the country, including Eugenia from Boston, who uses the internet to stay informed about her health care. She says she can't afford the internet otherwise. ACP allowed Sonia, a Holyoke resident and a fellow member of the Digital Equity Coalition, to connect to the internet after having to park outside the library so her daughter could access the internet to do her homework. ACP has also been a powerful tool to engage and build meaningful relationships with community members across diverse backgrounds with diverse needs. The Massachusetts statewide Digital Equity Coalition has members across the state spreading awareness about ACP, helping people enroll, and now preparing them for the wind down. In a variety of settings: schools, domestic violence shelters, community health offices, libraries, legal services offices. For example, Essex County's own Make It Haverhill helps youth re-entering the community after incarceration to enroll in ACP while exposing them to workforce and opportunities. Without ACP, many of these households will be disconnected, and many of these personal connections will be lost. So we urge Congress to extend ACP and to create permanent solutions that address affordability fairly and equitably, and that targets the causes of the inequities and disparities in the first place, so that we can all get connected. So keep us connected, and thank you.
So thank you, Virginia, so much, and so proud of her and the work that she does today. And we're at a crossroads, and we thank all the great leaders who are here. We're joined by a star up in the State House, State Representative Jen Armini, who has joined us. So thank you for being here. And let's be honest, the whole key to education, to information, is that we continue to grow our communities so that then people can get jobs in order to take care of their own families. Ultimately, that's the key to our economy. And it breaks down when there is a digital divide. And that's why Jay Ash has joined us here today, because Jay Ash runs the Mass Competitive Partnership. And he is the leader in terms of the business community looking at these issues to make sure that everyone, regardless of color, regardless of country of origin, has access to the skill set they'll need in order to maximize their God-given abilities. So, you know, children are only 20% of our population, but they're 100% of our future. And if you don't invest in them and in their families, our future will not be as good as our past. So that's what this program is really all about. Whether you're from Malden or like Jay Ash from Chelsea, the scoreboard doesn't have where we're sitting today in terms of who we can be, but there was an investment made in us early. And that was a brilliant, wise generation that said, we're going to make that investment. The question for this generation is, are they as wise as those generations from long ago, making the investment in the new generation of Americans, in the new countries of origin who are now living in the same homes as the preceding generations had been living. So that's our challenge. That's why we're going to fight so hard. And that's why we're in Lynn. Because Lynn is a city that's always in transition. Families coming, arriving, and then moving on. Malden is the same way. Chelsea is the same way. And we take pride in it. And that's the way America continues to grow. That's the way our economy continues to grow. And in the 21st century, without digital technologies accessible to everyone, then we will not see that same level of growth. But if we're wise, in the same way that the preceding generations that built beautiful libraries and schools like this, then we will know that the 21st century will be better than the 19th and the 18th and the 17th centuries here in Massachusetts and across our country. So it's our great honor to have all of the leaders who are here. And with that, I'll stop and I'll answer any question that you may have, or not just for me, but for anyone else who is here. So thank you all so much. Thank you. Thank you.